If you have ever been told that you are too sensitive, that you just need to get it together, stop being so emotional. In this video, I'm going to share some of my personal experiences of being highly sensitive, of feeling things really deeply, and how somatic work has totally shifted my experience of my sensitivity. So I'm going to break down a little bit just my experiences, how somatic work has helped, why it matters to you, give you a little taste of the different ways somatic work can help in terms of regulating your emotions, stress management, boundaries, saying no when you need to, relationships, communication. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a little practice, a little somatic practice, so you can have a taste of that. My name's Rachel. I am a somatic therapist and coach. And I wanted to make this video because the reason I believe so deeply in somatic work to support my clients is that it has been a life changer for me as someone who is very sensitive, very empathic. Somatic work is kind of like the secret sauce that I think helped me to really shift and deepen my healing over the years. So like this is a little bit of story time of just growing up personally as a sensitive child. I didn't have that word sensitive, highly sensitive, any of that till I was much older. But I just remember being just like overwhelmed by emotion a lot of the time. Like that felt like it came out of nowhere. I was always kind of feeling things really deeply, picking up an emotion. Now I know what that is, but before I didn't know what was happening. So I would just have these intense emotions come out of nowhere all the time. And I often felt like I was kind of going crazy, where I would be picking these things up, like noticing subtle differences, or I just remember even naming, like, I think there might be abuse happening in this relationship, and having people just tell me I was lying. I was making something out of nothing. So a lot of my life, I just felt like I would be seeing these things, be aware of things, and I'd bring them up and they would just get disregarded. So I started to really learn to distrust my intuition, distrust what I was feeling, and kind of outsourcing my truth to other people. Like there was something about being sensitive that people really didn't understand, and it was kind of dismissed away often. So I actually learned to do that to myself, that I just started dismissing. Oh my God, I need water. Just dismissing my own personal experience, what I was feeling, what I was picking up on. As I just remember as a kid being like very shy. I had friends and I would be like more open with them, but being in large groups of people, I am still kind of this way. I'm able to navigate a little better as an adult, but just being really overwhelmed with the amount of sensory information that was happening, I would kind of shut down just at the amount of people that were around me. And my family was like very social, and my mom's very extroverted. And I just remember having these times when I was little where it would be like, you have to call this person, you have to do this. And I would just completely shut down. Like I would just get so overwhelmed if I was kind of forced to interact with other people or pushed in these situations. Like I was always able to build relationships one-on-one with people pretty well, but like big social situations always felt really overwhelming to me. As I got older and I started to work, I would be so overwhelmed at different jobs. I used to work in community mental health. So, I mean, stressful jobs as it is, but also being a sensitive person, just aware of everyone's emotions. It was often not the clients I worked with that stressed me out. That was actually usually the easier part of my job. It was all of navigating like the different dynamics in the workplace, like being stuck in offices with people, feeling all of their stress, all of their stuff, all of the unsaid stuff that was happening, the different power dynamics, just like often the sensory input in places. Working in community mental health, we weren't like full of resources was often like sharing spaces with people and just kind of feeling kind of overstimulated, overwhelmed all the time. And because of that, I went through a lot of different jobs. I kind of hopped from one job to the next, thinking like, oh, maybe it's just this environment. I would hop to a new environment. And I just kept like searching for this environment where there wouldn't be overwhelm and overstimulation. And that unfortunately never happened because people are people. And when you get a room full of people together, that can be stressful for a sensitive person. I know it is for me, like even still to this day, I am much better able to like navigate my experience. But there's just like a lot of stuff that happens within professional environments. And then I won't even go into dating, but that was a whole experience in itself where there's something of just how to like build relationships with people when you're feeling so much unsaid stuff and then having to kind of navigate it in a way where you're not losing yourself. I often felt like it was easy for me to be really empathetic and attuned to other people. And then it was hard sometimes to know what I actually felt because I would just be like so overtaken by someone else's experience. So finding somatics actually happened for me when I was in college. I didn't know that's what it was at the time, but that's kind of where my journey started. I started doing yoga videos like on the TV in my apartment in college. And I mostly did that because at the time I smoked a lot of weed and I could do it while I was high. That was kind of like, okay, I can do this. I can feel good while I'm doing this. But I don't think I realized at the time, but looking back, it was actually these first moments when I was doing yoga that I felt good in my body for the first time. It was able to like shift the state of my nervous system. This is all language I have now. I had no idea what it was then. And it was during that time that I just like started coming back into my body. And I also have a lot of childhood trauma. So there was being highly sensitive and having childhood trauma. It was kind of a slow melting process to get me back into my body that like happened over years and years. There was times where I just had learned to kind of shut down my emotions because I felt them so deeply that it was hard for me to know how to relate to them and be in my emotions without totally like losing myself, losing control of my experience. And so this starting with yoga really started to deepen my ability to be present with what was in my body, to be present with discomfort. And that allowed me to kind of like feel things in a new way, to be present with things and really be able to determine what's mine in a situation. Like if I'm in a situation now and I get a flood of emotion, I can tell at this point if that's mine or if that's someone else's emotion. And if it's someone else's emotion, there's different things I do than if it's my emotion. There's different practices I have for that. But it started to just deepen my ability to be with what was present. And then over time, I deepened my own practice in various different forms of meditation. I did a yoga therapy training. I've done somatic therapy trainings. So I've kind of gone all in on somatics because I think there is something, especially when you are highly sensitive, that a lot of what's happening when you're highly sensitive is through the language of the body. It's through sensation. It is through these experiences that are not necessarily logical. You're just picking up on this information with your body. You have a more sensitive nervous system. You're picking up stuff. And so for me, being able to drop into that experience in a way where I felt like I could be a little more in control of that experience, know what to do with it, know what to do with the energy of it, that created so much more freedom in my life to make better choices. And in the times I've been to therapy, I've done so many different things, but somatics has always been this foundational thing that I think makes everything more effective. So I'm really aware of what's happening within me. I drop into my body, I drop into a full body understanding. That doesn't mean I leave my mind completely. I think there's really important things that happen in my mind, but it's allowed me to drop into the body in a different way, that I just have access to more information. So when I'm in therapy or when I'm working with even, the chiropractor or anything, if something's going on, I'm just more present in my body, and that allows me to access things in a new way and helps me to be able to really speak to my experience very clearly from a full body awareness. Somatic work at its core is really learning that you're more than your mind. It is understanding that your system is an interconnection of the body, the mind, the spirit, and also the connection to the outside world, to other people, to larger systems and social structures. It's this very holistic understanding of your experience and what it means to be a human. I know that was a very esoteric way to explain it, but sometimes it gets simplified to just saying it's about your body, it's working with the body, and it's much more than that. But that being said, when you're doing somatic work, it is really helping you to drop out of your head, because that is where we live most of the time in our society. We are really skewed towards like the mind over the body. I think, therefore I am. All of this kind of Western doctrine that actually trains you out of dropping into your body. So a lot of somatic work is kind of unlearning that conditioning to tap in to what's happening in your body and really working with your nervous system. So understanding things in your life, like if it's people pleasing, if it is overworking, if it is, never taking a break or always showing up for other people, any of these things, understanding how those might be connected to safety, how your nervous system is operating to keep you safe, and working from this body-based level. So kind of bottom up, we call it, instead of top down, which is mind to body. We're thinking body, to shift the state of the mind to find better balance. So you feel more grounded, you feel more relaxed, and you have a little more space to be present with what's happening in your body, in your mind, without losing yourself. And then when you're working in this way, you're really able to take that work into everyday life, to be with your people in a different way, to be more aware of what's happening in your relationships, really from an energetic level. And I say that not as like woo woo energy, but I think especially as someone who's like more empathetic, who is more sensitive, it's just this intuitive way that you're picking up energy. You walk into a room and you can feel what's happening. It's like that type of energy. And so I think there's these ways that as you work with yourself of shifting, building the capacity to tap into wisdom within the body, how it's connected to what's happening into your mind, then you start to make these shifts in your larger life. So somatic work, there's a spectrum of what it can look like, but there's going to be some component of the body, awareness of the body, maybe movement, maybe breath work, some guided visualizations, meditations, and ideally like integrating that then into your thoughts and your beliefs. I personally don't think it works just to stay with the body. You have to kind of use it as a tool to integrate yourself. Why this matters for you is if you are a highly sensitive person, if you're really empathic, you have probably learned and tried to get help from people who, with good intentions, try to talk you out of your sensitivity. That actually just reinforces you feeling like there's something wrong with you, like you've done something wrong. I know I had that experience before I found a good therapist. Like there's this, I just want to talk you out of your feelings. That can't be right. And I know that doesn't work. And I know it can just cause a bigger fracture with yourself and your sensitivity. And I deeply believe that you, as a sensitive being in the world, have so much to offer. You are probably benefiting people all the time in ways that you're not even aware of because it's just so natural to you. You can read the room, make sure people are okay. Like it doesn't take that much effort. All of these things, not I'm not saying that there's not hard things because there are hard things, but I personally want you to have the tools and skills you need so you don't feel like sensitivity is a flaw. I want you to feel like that sensitivity is actually wisdom. And when you learn what you like, how to work with it, what you can do, it can have huge impacts in making you feel like you're able to like contain your sensitivity and use it as a positive force for your own life, for those people around you. And it's totally possible. It just takes a different approach, just takes understanding the nervous system, understanding the wisdom of your body. And when you do that, you really are able to have the tools you need to stop being kind of like thrown around by the world. Because I think as sensitive people, that is what happens sometimes. Is like this person's opinion and these expectations and this feeling. And it allows you to just be within yourself and still connected. So that is what I want for you. I want you to to know that it's possible to stay within yourself, be in relationship, and let your sensitivity be something that's cherished, even. I know that's a big word, but that's like my hope for the world, that we can really appreciate and cherish sensitivity and your sensitivity in particular. All right, I'm going to offer just a really simple somatic practice here so you get a little flavor of what a somatic practice can be. And we're just going to do a little simple movement with breath. So just allowing yourself to find a tall posture. That could be seated, it could be standing. You can have your eyes either closed, a soft focus. And to begin, just start to deepen your breath. See if you can drop your breath into your belly as you breathe in. Exhale, pulling your belly back towards the spine. And then we're going to add some movement to this. So you can try to keep the breath really deep and even. On your next inhale, pulling your shoulders up towards your ears. And then exhale, letting the shoulders melt down the back. Do that one more time. We're going to do a little different version. So inhale, shoulders up towards your ears, and then with a quick release, exhale, let your shoulders drop. Do that one more time. So we inhale and release. Then take a minute to just notice how you're feeling in your shoulders. Noticing your breath. And it can be that simple, right? And somatics can be this big word, but it's as simple as just moving, breathing, and noticing. I would love to know if you relate to my experience, if you can, or anything you want to share about your experience of being highly sensitive. Please let me know in the comments down below. I also have a free sustainable self-care workshop that goes a little deeper into the nervous system, kind of nervous system 101, some practices you can use to get started with this. The link's down in the description if you want to check that out.